Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today we are diving deep into something that's, well, generating a lot of buzz. The speed race in EV charging.
Absolutely. If you drive an EV or you're thinking about it, charging speed is probably high on your list. That dream of stopping, charging, and going, almost like filling up with gas.
And it feels like we're getting closer, doesn't it? At least the charging stations seem to be getting faster.
That's exactly the point. So our mission today is really to look at this gap, the super fast charging tech versus what the actual cars on the road can handle right now.
And we want to figure out what this means for you, the driver, especially if you're here in Southern California trying to navigate all these changes.
Right, figuring out your own charging needs. And maybe a quick mention, Copperfield Electric is our local guide for this. They're a family-owned, 24-hour electrician right here in Orange County in Southern California, really helping folks figure this stuff out.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the big news, the headline everyone's seeing is ChargePoint. They're planning this huge rollout of 600 kilowatt ultra-fast chargers across the U.S., supposedly by 2026.
600 kilowatts, I mean, it sounds massive.
It really does. They're calling it future-proofing. But the question is, do we need them now if today's EVs can't even use that speed?
It's a valid question. To give some context, 600 kilowatts, that's way beyond what most people experience today.
Yeah, like a typical powerful Tesla supercharger is around 250 kilowatts, maybe a bit more sometimes. And other fast chargers might hit, 350, maybe 500 kilowatts in some rare cases?
Exactly. So 600 kilowatt is a really significant jump. Theoretically, under perfect conditions, it could mean charging times plummeting to maybe, 10 minutes or so, adding hundreds of miles of range while you grab a coffee.
That's the dream, isn't it? The point where range anxiety just disappears for most people.
Pretty much. But it's not just about the raw speed. ChargePoint's also working with Eaton on this new system, the Express Grid.
Right, I saw that. There's more to it than just the kilowatts.
What's fascinating here is the sources really emphasize the efficiency side. It's not just speed. It's about making these stations practical to deploy everywhere.
Practical how?
Yeah.
Cheaper, smaller.
Both, actually, and more efficient to run. They're promising three key things. 30% smaller size, which is huge for fitting them into tight urban spots.
Okay, that makes sense.
Easier placement. Then 30% cheaper to install. That lowers the barrier for businesses and site owners.
Also crucial for getting more chargers out there.
And maybe most importantly for the long run, 30% more efficient in operating costs. Less strain on the grid, lower electricity bills for the operator.
That sounds like a win-win-win for ChargePoint and utility companies anyway. But does that efficiency immediately help me as a driver pulling up to charge, or is it more of a long-term strategic thing?
I'd say it's more foundational. It makes the network healthier and more sustainable, which eventually benefits drivers. But yeah, the immediate direct impact on your charging session today, maybe not so much.
Because as soon as you install these super fast, super efficient chargers,
You hit the wall being the cars themselves.
and here's where it gets really interesting, this massive promise of 600 kilowatt charging
Yeah.
and almost no passenger EV currently sold in the U.S. can actually take it.
That's the crux of it. It's like building a high-speed rail line when everyone still owns horses and carts. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but you get the idea.
So we're building these amazing electric pit stops for cars that are, built for the daily commute.
Exactly. And there are two main technical reasons why today's cars can't just gulp down 600 kilowatts. The first one is the architecture.
Architecture. You mean the car's internal electrical system, like the voltage.
Precisely. Think of it like the pipes in your house. You can have massive water pressure from the street, but if your internal pipes are narrow, the flow is limited.
Okay.
Most EVs on U.S. roads today, even pretty new ones, use what's called 400-volt architecture. That design fundamentally limits how fast they can accept a charge, usually somewhere between, say, 250 kilowatts and maybe 300 kilowatts max.
So even if the charger offers 600 kilowatts,
The car system just says, nope, can't take it that fast. It physically bottlenecks the power flow.
got it. So plugging my current 400-volt EV into a shiny new 600 kilowatt station won't magically make it charge faster than it already does at a 250 or 300 kilowatt station.
Not significantly, no. You'll probably still max out around your car's limit. Now, automakers are moving towards 800-volt architecture. We see it in some newer, often higher-end models.
Like the Lucid Gravity, right? Or the Porsche Cayenne EV, BMW iX3,
Right.
those kinds of vehicles.
Exactly. Those 800-volt systems are inherently better pipes, basically. They can handle more power with less heat.
So those cars can use the 600 kilowatt chargers then?
Well, not quite. Even those advanced 800-volt cars usually can't hit the full 600 kilowatt in the real world. They typically max out somewhere lower.
Why is that, if they have the better
It's
pipes?
heat, thermal management, shoving that much electricity into a battery pack that quickly generates a ton of heat.
Right, batteries don't like getting too hot.
Definitely not. It degrades them over time. So even with sophisticated cooling systems, manufacturers cap the charging speed often around 350 kilowatts, maybe 400 kilowatt peak, under ideal conditions to protect the battery's health and lifespan.
So we're talking real-world limits, not just theoretical maximums in a lab.
Yeah, absolutely. Temperature, the battery's current charge level, its age, lots of factors affect actual charging speed. The takeaway is, for almost every EV on the road today, and even those coming in the near future from US and European makers, a 600 kilowatt charger won't offer a dramatically faster charge than a good 350 or 400 kilowatt station.
Okay, which leads us back to the big strategic question. Why the rush? Why are companies like ChargePoint investing so heavily in infrastructure that seems, well, overpowered for the current market?
The simple answer they give? Future-proofing.
But future-proofing for what future, exactly, if our cars aren't ready?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, they're not just betting on the cars you and I might buy next year. They're looking broader.
Broader how? Like trucks.
Yes. Heavy-duty electric trucks, long-haul semis, delivery fleets.
Those vehicles have much larger batteries and potentially different charging needs. That's one piece.
Okay, commercial vehicles. Makes sense.
The other, and this is critical, is the global market, specifically imports.
Ah, so looking beyond just US-made cars.
Definitely. The gamble is that these next-gen vehicles, or vehicles imported from regions with more advanced tech, will eventually demand 600 kilowatts or even more. They're building the foundation now.
And the source material points to some pretty intense competition globally, right? Like in China.
Absolutely. That's a key driver. Chinese automakers like BYD and NIO aren't just talking about 600 kilowatts. They're already deploying 1,000 kilowatt chargers. That's 1 megawatt.
1 megawatt, wow.
Yeah, paired with 1,000-volt battery systems in their cars. These systems can genuinely add significant range, hundreds of miles in like 5 minutes.
Okay, that's game-changing speed. That's true gas station parity. It is. So ChargePoint and others are likely anticipating that this level of technology, this global standard, will eventually influence or even enter the US market. They're building ahead of that curve.
It's kind of a preemptive move then, possibly encouraged by government incentives pushing for scalable, future-ready infrastructure.
That's likely part of the calculation, yes. Build it now, maybe with some support, so
Gotcha.
it's ready when needed.
But let's bring it back home for a second. For our listeners here in the U.S., in Southern California, the reality today is pretty clear, isn't it?
It is. As of right now, no major U.S. or European automaker has announced concrete plans for a passenger EV that can fully utilize 600 kilowatt charging anytime soon.
So the widespread need for these 600 kilowatt stations seems to depend less on immediate engineering breakthroughs from Detroit or Germany.
And maybe more on external factors like policy.
Policy, you mean like import rules?
Exactly. The biggest catalyst for needing 600 kilowatt stations almost overnight would be a change in trade policy specifically. If those incredibly fast-charging, megawatt-capable Chinese EVs were allowed into the U.S. market in large number.
If that happened, our current infrastructure might suddenly look inadequate.
Precisely. Then 600 kilowatts wouldn't be future-proofing, it would be catching up. But until then, while advanced cars like the BMW iX3 or Lucid Gravity push towards 400 kilowatts, that 600 kilowatt mark remains largely aspirational for passenger cars here.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? If you're driving an EV in Orange County or thinking about getting one or maybe managing a small business fleet, how do you plan around this?
Yeah, let's make it practical. In the short term, honestly, you probably don't need to worry too much about 600 kilowatts specifically.
The existing infrastructure is mostly fine for today's cars.
For the vast majority, yes. Those common 150 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt public fast chargers are perfectly adequate given the 400-volt limitations of most current EVs. They'll charge your car about as fast as it can handle.
So the key isn't necessarily finding the absolute fastest charger possible right now.
It's more about making smart, scalable choices for your own situation, whether that's at home or for a business, planning for growth but not overspending today.
And that's where getting some local expertise can be really helpful, right? Someone who understands the local grid, permits, and future trends.
Exactly. That's where a company like Copperfield Electric comes in. They operate across Orange County and Southern California. Think Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, places like that.
And they're licensed, bonded, insured electricians.
Correct. The key is they help navigate this. They understand the tech, but they also understand you probably don't need a 600 kilowatt or ready setup in your garage tomorrow. Their focus is on safe, reliable installations that meet your current needs, but are also, importantly, future ready.
So what specific services are most relevant here, thinking about this charging evolution?
Well, two main things come to mind. First, obviously, EV charger installation. Doing it right, whether it's a simple level 2 charger for your home or a more complex setup for a business, making sure it's optimized for your car now, but installed in a way that might allow for upgrades later.
Okay, the charger itself. What else?
The other big one, maybe even more critical long-term, is electrical panel upgrades.
Ah, the main breaker box.
Exactly. As cars demand more power and potentially charge faster even at home in the future, your home's or business's electrical panel needs to be able to handle that increased load safely and reliably. Upgrading your panel is often the most crucial step in future-proofing.
That makes sense. The charger's only as good as the power supply behind it.
Precisely. And Copperfield Electric handles that, plus they offer 24/7 emergency service and background check their electricians, which adds peace of mind.
So the value proposition seems to be about smart planning, helping people invest wisely today, getting what they need without overpaying for tech that's still years away from being useful for their specific car, but ensuring the foundation is ready for whatever comes next. That 100% satisfaction guarantee probably helps too.
Right. It's about scalability without speculation. Get a robust, safe setup now, likely centered around a good level 2 home charger and a capable electrical panel, and you'll be well positioned.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the 600 kilowatt charging tech is definitely impressive. It's here, or at least arriving soon.
The tech is ahead, yes.
But the vehicles, for the most part, are lagging behind due to those technical limits, the 400-volt systems, the battery heat management.
Correct. It's infrastructure foresight, likely driven by future fleet needs and that intense global competition, especially from China.
So the advice for you, the listener, is don't get swept up in the kilowatt hype just yet. Focus on your actual needs today.
Absolutely. Optimize your home charging with a solid level 2 installation and make sure your electrical panel is up to snuff. That's still the smartest, most practical investment for most EV drivers right now.
But you wanted to leave us with a final thought, something a bit more provocative based on the sources.
Yeah, just something to mull over. We've talked about how the need for widespread 600 kilowatt passenger car charging seems tied less to U.S. European car evolution right now, and more to potential policy shifts regarding imports, specifically those megawatt-capable Chinese EVs.
Right, the policy angle.
So the question is, if that's the case, what non-technical event, what political decision, what sudden change in trade relations or economic strategy might actually be the thing that flips the switch, the thing that makes 600 kilowatt charging stations not just nice to have or future-proof, but an overnight necessity across the U.S. It might not be an engineering announcement, but a geopolitical one that truly dictates the timeline.
Interesting. So the real catalyst might come from Washington or Beijing, not Detroit or Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Something to definitely keep an eye on as you plan your own electrical future.
Exactly. Food for thought.